about talking to my wife in the car.
Oh, very smart.
Yeah.
Is she a wireless device?
Not yet.
She's wanted to cut my wires a few times. But, okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you're going to do the countdown. And remember, keep it like this. Even if you have
Speak
to go like
into
this.
the microphone.
All right, and we'll go right into your, after I come back from the trivia question, we'll go right into this. Okay, ready? Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital, and we're in the studio here with Nancy Llewellyn, who is an attorney specializing in business law and real estate. And when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What is the call when the quarterback keeps the ball and gets tackled in his own end zone? And since it's not a NASCAR question, Brian, I'm not even going to look at you.
No, don't even look at me.
Okay.
Although I'm looking at Mark's paper, so I might have an
No,
idea.
no, no. Okay, Mark, what's the call?
Safety.
Safety, that is correct.
Oh, he wrote down the wrong answer trying to fool me. He knew I was going to try that.
Well, I didn't hear the first time. I didn't hear in the end zone. I just thought it was behind the line of scrimmage. So I thought it was the sack question instead of the safety question.
But that's not an actual call, though, right? So this would actually be a call from the
Yep.
referee.
Yep.
There you go. Okay,
Trying
Mark.
to set me up.
Yeah,
I can just imagine in high school what you were like. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Sure, I got another question for Nancy here. So I'm thinking, Nancy, of leasing some space for my business. Why would having someone like you, an attorney, review the lease be a good idea?
I could give you horror stories, but we don't have all day.
Well, okay, give us some. You know, this is
I'll give you
entertaining radio. Give us a horror story.
My favorite horror story. Have a client, has a dog, doggy daycare. She did not come to an attorney to review her lease. She ended up being responsible for all of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning in this very old, dilapidated building.
Was it a triple net lease, basically?
But it turns out that the roof was fine, and she had a roof inspection done. The vent, when there is wind blowing, gets rain in it, and it floods her premises. She's responsible for that vent. She has had buckets in her retail space. A lot of that could have been negotiated. She also signed the lease both personally and as a corporation, unbeknownst to her. She thought she was signing as a corporate officer, but that's not the way she signed the lease. So she ended up being personally liable when she thought, this is a new business, I can bankrupt it, I can walk away from the lease.
Wait, okay,
Wrong.
so the lease didn't actually ask for a personal guarantee separate. What it did was it made her sign on the lease personally.
As in her
That's
name
kind of
and-
nasty.
Sounds like a
and
quadruple net lease.
Yeah, and in her
Yeah,
corporate
really.
name, so both she personally
Yeah.
and the corporation are on the hook.
You're just lucky that she didn't sign your name to it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad
Well, then
that she
that-
did not.
The follow-up question to that then is does it matter how you sign a contract if you're signing on behalf of a corporation? Is how you sign important?
Absolutely critical. Again, with this person, she thought she could bankrupt her company if it didn't do well and then walk away from the lease. Had she signed Sandy Smith, president of Doggy Daycare, then only the corporation would have been on the hook. She would only have been signing as the president of the corporation. Instead, she signed Sandy Smith, and she signed Doggy Daycare.
There was a specific place for her to sign as an individual as well?
Yes,
But
that's
the
how the
lease-
lease was drawn up, and she did not know any better, and
And
she
of course,
did
you
not.
could have negotiated that out so that it would have protected her from that personal liability if she'd have signed
Hopefully.
correctly.
Yeah, sometimes you know with landlords though,
Well-
if they'll even let you do that. But
Yeah, that's right. You might not
yeah,
get the
but
lease.
the thing is, the big thing here specifically was the vent. How much did it cost to fix?
Oh, it's a lot of money, but it also is, making her retail space look terrible when her clients come in. She's got buckets everywhere.
Well, you just say that's for washing the dogs in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say the dogs don't like have her getting rained on. Okay, I got a question for you. Okay, I can get a perfectly good contract from the internet without using an attorney. Why should I pay legal fees to do this? You hear the sarcasm in my voice?
I
Okay.
do indeed. I couldn't
Sounds like
agree
you've
with
done
you
that.
more. I recently gave a talk on contracts to a group of photographers who were somewhat horrified by the time I got through with all of the things that their contracts that they've borrowed from friends and or gotten on the internet did not include.
Well, each
for
one's
their-
got to be different. Sometimes you got to tailor make these things.
Yes, exactly right. And even among photographers, taking just one profession, there are different types of photographers and they have different needs in their contract.
I mean, I can imagine even the doggy daycare, it's like, how do you leave the premises in the way that you find them if it didn't used to be a doggy daycare? I mean, you're going to probably have certain issues, smelling and all that other stuff.
Right.
Exactly
Some
right.
plumbing and
Yeah.
all kinds of things. So well, let's say that somebody decides that they want to go into business with a friend. It could be, or even worse, you had a family member. I think that, like I said this earlier, business is business, personal is personal. And in this case, now you're going to ask somebody not only to go into business, but probably to formalize that into a written agreement or written form of some sort. I think some people are apprehensive to do that, and I don't think that that's really justified to take that risk. What do you think?
It's always difficult to be in business with a family member or a friend. It's a really good way not to have good relationships after the fact when the business goes belly up. But absolutely right, you should have some type of written agreement, which you would have if you're an incorporation, if you're incorporated, or if you're an LLC, or even if you want to just do a general partnership agreement. You should spell out who's going to do what happens when somebody gets sick or dies, who gets that share. You could end up, working with their spouse.
Yeah, just
in
buy a bunch of
community.
life insurance.
Yeah,
It's a corporate
Yeah.
prenup.
exactly.
That's what it is.
So there are many, many different reasons to do it, but you should have a
Okay.
written agreement.
Okay, I got a fun one for you because this actually comes from an old Sergeant Bilko episode, if you can remember that old show.
I do.
Really? Okay, I didn't think you're
I'm
old enough for
that
that. Okay. All right, let's say my last name is McDonald. Why can't I just open up a hamburger stand and call it McDonald's?
Well, you could if you wanted to be sued.
That's not my favorite thing in life.
That's expensive.
You have to be very careful if you use a famous name in your business because you can get sued for license infringement, trademark infringement, copyright infringement. But very often, if it's a famous name like Al Capone, for example, you very often can find the person who owns the mark through a simple trademark search, which is not very expensive. And then you can get a licensing agreement or some sort of royalty arrangement to use that name in your business if it might be something that could benefit your business from having a catchy name. But you do want to check it out first because otherwise you stand the risk of being
So
sued.
if I want to do Al Capone private money loans, I'm liking that idea, I just have to do a trademark search.
Or I don't know if I want to put
Guidos.
You might have a little concrete box as your symbol there.
or a guy named Ponzi, and he did Ponzi Financial, or,
Right.
or
That's
Al
right.
Capone's Redwood, or Al Capone's Credit Union. You know?
Yeah, you can do a simple trademark search and see who owns the rights to that name. And then again, get a licensing agreement with that person and use it legitimately, but you're going to have to pay something for the name.
Just really funny that Sergeant Bilko episode. I don't know if you remember it, but the guy's last name was Hilton, and he was a homeless guy, and so Bilko, being the kind of guy he was, very opportunistic and shady, he decided, hey, let's just go ahead. And then remember, this is in the 50s, right? The TV show. So they went ahead and he opened up a hotel and called it Hilton. And, because this guy was part of the ownership, right? And this thing was just an absolute dive. And the whole idea was to try to extract money from the Hilton hotels.
Right.
And it worked. And so this guy, the homeless guy, gets a little bit of money, right? And he says, well, what are you going to do with it? And he goes, I just changed my name to Rockefeller. I thought that was pretty good.
Hey, so I got a business partner who takes care of the books and writes the checks. Is there something that I can or should do to protect myself in case he decides to improperly use those funds or God help me, even embezzle funds?
I'm dealing with a client right now, just like that. Unfortunately, after the fact, there's not a lot that can be done, but a good rule of thumb is to make sure that you have monthly meetings about the books. You should have something in writing as to, how much each person can write a check for without conferring with the other person. You can also put that on your checks right above the signature line.
It must have two signatures
Two
of over
signatures,
$500.
exactly right. You should have something in writing that both sign, both agree to, And you should be discussing that on a very frequent basis, like monthly. And if you have a tax person, you should have them reviewing whatever this person is doing.
As much internal control as you can, the more people looking at
Absolutely.
things is better.
Checks and balances.
Exactly. Okay, Nancy, if people wanted to get a hold of you, if they have any more questions, more than the ones we asked,
Yes.
how would they get a hold of you?
Well, my telephone number is 415-399-0993. And then my website is www.palladianlawgroup.com, and that's spelled P like Peter, A-L-L-A-D like David, I-A-N like Nancy, lawgroup.com.
Great. Nancy, thank you so much for being in the studio with us. Stick around, because when we get into email time and other business, you can, like I said, it's a bunch of guys, or gals in this case, hanging around a bar, without the bar, having drinks, or without the drinks.
We have water.
We have water, that's true. That's part of the drinks, talking business.
Really heavy
okay.
stuff.
Heavy stuff, okay. We're going to cut to the second commercial break, and here is the trivia question. Less than 2 outs and runners on first and second, and the batter hits a very shallow pop fly. What's the call? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190. You guys are funny. To answer this question, less than 2 outs and runners on first and second. We're obviously talking baseball here, so
I'm thinking you're out. Is that?
yeah, and if you say he waves the checkered flag, I know you're thinking NASCAR.
No,
Okay.
probably not.
All right, less than 2 outs and runners on first and second, and the batter hits a very shallow pop fly. What is the call by the umpire?
Cool.
Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, speak slowly, and spell it out, please, and your phone number, and we will be right back. Excellent.
That one I'm not 100% sure of.
Ooh, stumped him.
That's why you-
a shallow pop fly that isn't quite going out into the outfield, and the reason is because, let's say it's a shallow fly ball, pop fly to the shortstop, and there's runners at first and second, and there's
He
nobody
can
out.
intentionally drop
Yeah,
it.
he can wait, have it just barely hit, drop it, and then boom, he throws to third. They go to second to the first.
Right,
It's right.
right.
You can't. You have to tag up on a fly ball. So
Right.
I think they figured
So
that
it's
back
not
in the
automatic out.
1880s or 1890s.
It's kind of like writing a contract. Every paragraph in a contract comes from having something happen, or a lawsuit,
that's
or
true.
some type of a dispute.
that's
so
why some of
we'll
the
put
legal
another
documents are
paragraph in
horrible.
there.
Yeah,
No,
right.
it's terrible. Yeah,
That's how they get 30 pages long.
every one of those paragraphs
Yeah.
resulted from an infield pop fly.
Well,
Yeah.
you've seen the IRS, the new form for
Yeah.
income taxes. Just, two lines. How much did you make? Next one, send it in. I like
Send
mine.
it
It
in.
just goes like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't do that anymore.
That's when handshakes used to mean something, right?
Yeah, but you know what though? In all honesty, there still could be miscommunication. I mean, honest miscommunication.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, I thought you said, said
Well,
that.
then people
No.
forget 4
People
years
forget,
later
yeah.
what they
That's
said.
true.
Right,
you know.
exactly. Yeah.
Memories fade.
So I get hot, and you tell me not to roll up my sleeves on my leg, huh?
Well, you know the
Shoulder and leg.
the last show we did, when Michael was here,
Yeah.
I zoomed in on your leg and you were all the way up to here.
Oh, I know. You should see me next time I wear shorts.
This mine is
That makes it
10.
easier.
And that's gonna be part of
You're
the
hot
show.
and I'm cold.
You betcha. Next time I'll shave them.
I thought you were wearing shorts. I did.
You know what? I usually do, but
He doesn't come in with shorts, but he.
I'll wait till you wind the.
5 seconds silence. Tick,
Okay.
tick, tick, tick.
Scratch.
You know, if you want, I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. You know. I love teasing him. We had this one. This is funny. I'm glad this is being taped because you got to hear this one part. I set Mark up purposely. I told him ahead of time because I love teasing him. He knows I love him. You know, I just tease him in a fun way, right? So one of my thoughts for the day was, hey, Mark, smell this rag. Does this smell like chloroform to you? And he goes, well, wait, hold on. And then nothing, right? I go, Mark, don't worry. Next week, Mark will be back. He'll have woken up by then. It was fun. We have a lot of fun.
So
Okay.
there's going to be pepper spray coming out of the vents here one day.
Oh.
God. Only if you go shopping.
You just never know what's
Oh
going
yeah,
on
you're
here.
scaring me. Okay, ready? Here we go. 5 seconds of silence. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Brian Burke. And thank you very much, Nancy, for being in the studio, giving us great advice on business formation. And when we cut to the second commercial break, we ask this trivia question. And again, the theme is you make the call. All right, less than 2 outs and runners on first and second, and the batter hits a very shallow pop fly. What's the call? Mark Hanf.
The infield fly rule.
The infield fly rule. That is correct. Okay.
I was going to say that too.
I know. You're the big baseball.
I'm the big sports expert here.
Big sports. Don't worry. I promise someday. I'm looking at NASCAR stuff, but some of the questions are like they're so hard unless you know something about NASCAR.
Yeah, these are hard.
How about
How about colors of flags and
Well, I was
Right.
thinking about that,
Easy
or
stuff.
just how many wheels does the NASCAR have? No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
That was a tough
that's a little too.
Is that a trick question?
That's your question. Okay, let's get into email time. Brian, we received an email question for you, and here it is. How is it possible that homes are selling for less than the cost to build them, and when will home builders start building again? That's a great
I like
question.
that one.
Yeah, it's kind of a compound question. I think the two are related to one another. So, it's true that homes are selling for less than replacement cost, and it's primarily due to the large number of foreclosures that are out there right now. Market values are as low as 50% of replacement costs in a lot of markets. And in fact, with the right expertise and being in the right place at the right time and having the right skills and systems, you can even buy discounted property at about 1/3 of replacement costs. In some cases, we're buying houses ourselves at our company at Praxis Capital for just over the cost of obtaining a building permit. Yeah, in fact, we did
That's
this
terrible.
recently. $15,000 more than the building permit would have cost us.
How much was the building permit?
The building permits are $70,000, and we got the
Hello.
house